Hey turtle nerds, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk to you guys about the importance of keeping your turtle's shell nice and healthy, what to look out for, and different ways that I make sure that my turtle's shells are nice and strong, nice and healthy, and not really having any issues, and how you can too. So when talking about the turtle's shell, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna begin with hatchlings because, well, all adult turtle shells originate from a hatchling and from being fed and growing over time. Yeah, that's how things work. Before we get started with today's video though, hi little baby terrapins. 2 of these little terrapins are actually available if you guys are interested, and also a way to help contribute to the channel and help support me and keep everything going is to hit the link right up over here and head over to my Patreon. So over there I have all kinds of behind the scenes photos and videos a day early, discounts on merch. You can ask me 100,000 questions, all kinds of fun stuff. You get to join this list of lovely people, and I post terrapins on there when I have them available. So anyway, all that stuff out of the way, let's get on with shells and how it actually starts with little baby turtles. So over here I have some of my baby terrapins, and one of the most important things that we're going to talk about in nearly all hatchling turtle and tortoise species is proper humidity. Now, as you guys can see here, I don't give my hatchling turtles a basking spot. I just make sure that they get UVB. And that's because these little guys will come up and do what I like to call surface basking, which is where they get themselves up in the plants and they're half in and half out of the water. This allows them to not fully dry off, because when they dry off, their shells can start to flare upwards, and that can also be a sign of improper care and likely from drying out too much. Now, this is particular in diamondback terrapins, not really other species too much, but I have a friend of mine who raises painted map turtles and terrapins all with no basking areas, and they grow perfectly. That's not to say that you can't provide one and they won't grow nicely. It's just like I use it as a precautionary measure. I don't bother giving them one because I worry that they'll dry their little shells out and then it'll lead to that kind of curved growth. I know a very big breeder of ornate diamondback terrapins, and what they do is they will not give them a basking area until they're about 4 or 5 inches. And that's in order to ensure that they're getting nice, strong, hard shells that won't really dry out. At that size, the humidity is not as big a factor, and so they'll have smooth growth regardless of drying themselves out and basking. Now, when you don't provide a basking area though, you just want to be on the lookout. So these little guys, I actually gave them a basking area a couple of weeks ago, and their shells started to flare upwards compared to the terrapins that I had inside. We can see now it's starting to correct itself. You can still see it's a little bit flared upwards. Their shells should look a little bit more streamlined, but the process is basically fixing itself, and as they grow, it'll totally smooth out and they will heal up fine. What ends up happening is, see how it's a little bit flared up just ever so slightly at the very edge of the shell? Just barely. So we want that to smooth out nicely, and it is. And as they grow, the little terrapins will be just fine. Here, let's grab this one and take a look at how you're doing. This one looks much better. We can see nice smooth growth. And if I go inside, I can show you guys some other hatchlings that have near perfect growth in their shells as well. So let's take a look at one of the ornate babies here. Here we can see how the shell is not really flared upwards. It's nice and streamlined, looking really good. Nice hard shells. And we're also gonna supplement, I dose with calcium. I'll sprinkle some powdered calcium on their food, and I also give them cuttle bone to chew on, and that gives them a calcium supplement. So providing the right amount of calcium supplement coupled with nice high humidity is leading to this beautiful growth. And we can see all the little white between the scoots. Those little light sections are all new growth that's coming in totally beautifully, nice and smooth, perfect little babies. Sorry, little one. Now, I say the no basking thing is particular for terrapins, but sliders, map turtles, and, well, although my friend does not provide a basking area for painted turtles and gets a very smooth growth, as do some other people. Now, with that being said, if we take a look at one of the spotted turtles here, I give them a basking platform, and we can see, if I pick one of them up, they also, who is this? Is this Peanut? Peanut has some very beautiful, nice, smooth growth going on here. You really just kind of have to see what's best for you. I tried giving my terrapins a basking area, and it was leading to some wonky growth, so now I don't. With these spotted turtles, I'm giving them a basking area, and they're growing smooth and just fine, so it's not a problem with them. And so that's part of why I tell you guys to do your research and see what's best for you. That way you have options. It's not like a one-size-fits-all with turtles and terrapins. You kind of have to see what works for you and what's best for you and your situation and your animal. So now let's consider you did all the right stuff and your turtle's grown, and now you can see this shell is looking pretty good. We can see that the bumps are raised just ever so slightly, and that's from a lot of basking. We can see the scoots on this animal are a little bit like she needs to shed just a bit, but a lot of people get very stressed out and worried about shell rot. Now what we're seeing here is just like some slightly retained scoots, nothing really big, not a big deal, and nothing that resembles rot. I would be surprised if that little terrapin had any rot. Usually your turtles will have hard water stains or a very slight cosmetic fungus that just sits on their shell. You can see it's beginning right there. That little discoloration, it doesn't really do anything bad, and natural sunlight will usually clear it up just fine. Nothing worth worrying about right now. And most of the time, guys, if you keep your water nice and clean, and once your turtle hits 4 or 5 inches and you have a nice basking spot for them where they can fully dry off, you're probably not gonna have any shell rot issues. I get so many messages. Is this shell rot? Is this shell rot? 90% of the time, 95, 99% of the time, it's not. It's literally either hard water stains, which you can get off with a little brush, or it's that like topical kind of little fungus thing, which you can use some Lamisil. Just take your turtle, put them under a heat lamp, not too hot, kind of like this. This is like a dry dock setup where, I mean, instead of a heat lamp, I just have the sun. This is kind of what I had for Pancake back when he drowned. You can use this type of setup for a turtle just for like an hour or two and dry dock them with a little bit of that cream, that antifungal cream, and it should clear right up for that fungus. So like most aquatic species, map turtles, painted turtle sliders, you're not gonna have issues with the shell. You know, once like you just give them that clean water and they're not gonna get that like cosmetic fungus that I'm talking about. That's kind of particular in terrapins because they are prone to skin and shell problems. So let's take a look at some of the animals in my pond and what I'm gonna do to combat some certain things. All right, so we're gonna take a look at Miss Flipper. At one point or another, my pond, dude, do you mind? Are you kidding me? At one point, the water quality was not the best, which led to some pitting in the bottom of the shell, which was not good. But as long as you stay on top of it, and I did fat water changes, you know, redid my filter and whatnot, you can get ahead of any issues. Also, regularly brushing your turtle shell. Look at dragon fruit. For some reason, look, Flipper shell, totally fine. Bean shell, totally fine. Dragon fruit, she's got all kinds of algae and stuff on her. You can see she had some pitting from some poor water quality at one point during, you know, a very rough time in the pond's history. You can see she's got a little bit of stuff going on, and so I'm gonna take her and place her actually in this little saltwater soaking bath. This is only for terrapins. This is not at all for map turtles or sliders or painted turtles. This is very particular to terrapins. I'm gonna soak her in salt water because giving them a little saltwater soak can really help to clear up any issues on the shell if you don't want to go ahead and dry dock and do that whole process. Usually whenever I notice a problem in my turtle shell, I'll just go ahead and give them a saltwater soak or start adding a little bit of salt to the water a little bit at a time until it ends up clearing up. I want to kill all that stuff on her shell. I've tried scrumming it, but it's really like between her scoots and everything. So I'm just gonna let her soak in this and it should kill everything off of her shell and clear up any issues that she's having. Once turtles hit about 4 or 5 inches or so, they start shedding the individual parts of their shell called scoots. A lot of the times what you'll see is hard water stains between the scoots. The little Mochi here shed earlier this year and now her shell is all bright and beautiful. It's getting a little bit cloudy again. Let's take a look at Miss Bean. Also getting a little bit cloudy because she's getting ready to shed her scoots once more. So long as you have nice, clean, beautiful water and you can allow them to bask, when they fully dry off and bask, that helps to pop the scoots off. In terrapins in particular, a little saltwater soak will go a long way to help with the shedding process as well. I'm probably gonna give all of them a little bit of a soak today. Also, to get rid of any algae and prevent any bacteria from getting trapped in icky nasties, I highly suggest you brush your terrapins or turtles' shells. You can see there's some algae forming on the back here on that little turtle. It's just the little things that you guys can do to make sure that your turtles are happy and healthy. Little Mochi's plastron's looking pretty good there. We're just looking for any spots or any issues with them. Everyone else's shells are looking pretty darn good. So when your turtle's young, you wanna make sure that the humidity is nice and high. They have that nice smooth shell growth. They start getting bigger. They're ready for a basking area. At least this is how I do things. Your water's nice and clean. They should start shedding those scoots. They might have a little bit of trouble, so you might wanna consider dry docking them. They might get a little like issue like that little fungus that I was talking about, so you might wanna put some Lamisil cream and dry dock them for a little bit to clear it up. But other than that, give them a brush every once in a while. Everything should be just fine. A lot of people freak out about shell rot. You'll know it's shell rot. It'll smell horrible and it'll look like this. And it'll be like a whole hole and you'll like be able to dig it out and it will be nasty. So guys, that's very, very basic. Just, you know, what to look out for in your turtle shell, what I look out for and how I do things. I'm gonna keep dragon fruit in that little saltwater soak for a little while. That's very terrapin specific, not really for other species, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I'll see y'all in the next one.